not so sure where here is. But you know what? We're still glad that you're here with us and you've put up with this. So thank you, those of you who are coming on as we do this. Happy New Year. So Happy New Year.
Happy
This
New
is
Year.
Howard Jacobson, the famous Mia, Cheryl. So you guys all heard me talk about all of them. And happy 2021 to you, of course. I need a little bit of that today. Okay, I see we're coming in somewhere. So some people are coming in. I know that it takes a little while to replicate. I'm assuming you guys should be seeing us in YouTube.
9 months.
Not that long. So if you guys, I don't know if I've told you this or not, but Howard is the king of dad jokes. Mia is the queen.
Hi, there's no sound.
No sound.
No! Playthrough.
I don't know what the... Can you hear us now? Possibly?
Oh, it's muted. Take it off mute.
You
It's
sure?
not muted.
It's
Now
muted.
muted. It was not muted. Well, heck, she says. Let's just unplug this puppy and let's go from sound over here. Which thing is it? It's this thing?
No. That's the camera.
Okay. Oh, Marilyn has sound.
Okay.
I have sound.
Yay! We don't know
Yes.
what we did, but I'm so glad you had sound. And you probably didn't hear any of my, okay, but they're going to hear you guys.
Wendy can hear on YouTube. Okay.
All right, awesome. So I'm going to get back to you.
Ourselves.
We are going to start a little bit again because I'm not sure. So, oh yeah, it must be going out everywhere. I'm trying this some way new. It's very exciting. 2021 is a new and exciting year for me, for you. So we did this whole thing where we cheersed each other. You guys missed the family sing-along, but to you and to a wonderful 2021, thank you for joining us today. And you guys are... and Jessica said, sorry, hubby had headphones plugged in. That's good. We have literally been working.
You can see how hair triggered we are. Quick, let's buy a new fridge.
Oh, where are we going with this?
Something's got to work.
This is, I said in the beginning when I set this up, this is the first time we've tried to take the show on the road. And we thought it was going to be easier than it was. Imagine that. So we have tripods and phones and all these things. And we've got Howard's awesome sound set up and different cameras and stuff. So thank you so much for bearing with us. And let's see what we've got here. And we want to welcome Marilyn and Annette and Judy. Facebook user. So if I say Facebook user, it probably means you're on a Facebook group. And I am very glad that you're here, but I don't see your name. If you want me to say your name, because I want to say your name, you can just put it in with the comments. Go, this is Judy, or this is Helene.
What if somebody named their kid Facebook user?
Then we're just screwed. We're screwed. You guys may not have heard, I was talking about Howard is the king of dad jokes. And before anybody wonders, I haven't gone far through the comments yet, is that we've all potted together through the whole pandemic. So that's why we are on camera together this close and maskless, is because this is my pod. And that's kind of why I wanted to bring you guys into this, since we were coming over here to do some New Year's food. But what I was thinking, and of course I haven't told Howard this yet, is that I'm hoping Howard will help us kind of, if you don't already have an intention for the new year or something that you're focusing on, Howard is this amazing behavioral guru. He is my behavioral guru. So anything I do wrong, you can totally blame on him. No, just kidding. He's like, oh God. So I thought maybe while we're making some of this, Howard could, because I know that I said I was going to have a word by today, and I don't. So Excellence is the suggestion I'm getting from Mia. I will take suggestions from the audience too. Because sometimes it can be hard to encompass everything in a word, but I don't want to do like, I want to gain 17.5 Facebook users by this date. I don't like that stuff either. It stresses me out. And you guys, some of you know and some of you don't know, is that I'm a little stress monster. So I have to manage my expectations, and that's why I try to manage your expectations too.
Yeah, this past hour when we didn't go live, you broke what, 3 windows?
I was about to. What is it? I was joking, but I did tell me, I'm like, maybe my word of the year should be stabby. Because I was feeling a little stabby. But it was more like eye stabs.
We locked the knife drawer.
Everything's fine. So let me see. Okay. We'll say hello to a few more people. Marilyn, Annette, Wendy, Jessica, Ruth, lots of Facebook users. Kathia, excellent. And I believe that Linda from Windsor says Happy New Year's, everybody. And
Windsor Castle? They rebuilt it. Cool.
I think it's Windsor, Canada.
Oh, okay.
Where I want to go. And Gina's here. Yay. And I know I saw Apple in the other group before we came over here. So hopefully Apple will make it too. And Kathia had sound from the beginning. Donna. Lim Drops is here. So Lim Drops is from my Vlogmas group that I've been telling you guys about all month. And so the reason they call him Lim Drops is he has these little like things. So like little sayings. And they're all limb drops now. Oh. And he's super cool. So he's hanging out with us. So be on your best behavior. That includes you.
My best behavior is nothing to write home about. It's a very low bar. Deborah wants to know if this is a Berkey filter. It is. A Berkey filter.
And it makes delicious water. Actually, I came to your house and you were setting one up. Then I went on vacation. This was pre-pandemic with some other friends, and they brought one along. I had never seen one before.
Mm-hmm. Well, it better make good water because it doesn't do anything else.
But they're fairly expensive, though, aren't they?
They're cheaper than dying of bad water.
Okay, so you heard it here first, folks. We're lucky enough that our house has a whole bunch of different filtrations and reverse osmosis already in there. Oh, and Diane from Fort Myers is here. Oh, Lim, I want you to feel loved because you should, because you're the best. And let's see. Oh, and Deborah is shopping for one of those filters, which is awesome. And Marilyn has one. Marilyn, you guys who don't know Marilyn already, she lives in Louisiana. She's the dehydrator queen. She dehydrates everything. And she's amazing.
So if you have a dehydrator and a Berkey, they can just fight it out.
Absolutely. No,
cool.
She's like, now she has the Berkey to rehydrate all of her vegetables.
Okay.
But yeah, so like we were talking about having a dehydrator class because you guys know I do classes and stuff. And I'm honestly a little nervous about, I want Marilyn to teach me how to do all the things she does. And Marilyn says the Berkey helps in hurricane situations, which is very true as well.
Yeah, so it's one of the things we thought about because we're on well here. And so when we lose electricity, we lose water. But there's a pond, and the pond is full of God knows what. But, push comes to shove. We get buckets, we can put it in there, and we can survive.
Oh, that's a great idea. That's awesome. And that's probably what we should do because we have a well as well. Boy, that sounds like a Howard joke.
All's well.
All is well. And you guys, like I said, we were singing. There's always fun here. And did you notice how quickly the spouses were gone? They're gone. They're like, we're done with this. You made us do that.
They don't want to be part of our podcast.
Oh, ready? You're getting it all today. It's like a variety show. So Howard, do you have some intention or a method that you used as far as what you're setting the new year for? Or do you even do any of that? Is that just hooey to you?
Well, I don't think it's hooey. Mm-hmm. There is something called the blank slate effect. That when people move to a new place, they have an opportunity to reinvent themselves. Or you start a new job, or Monday, or the first of the month, or the first of the year. So just because it's artificial doesn't mean it's not powerful.
Okay.
So for people who are used to making New Year's resolutions, say, you know what, this ends here, whatever this is. It's a great opportunity to set a new intention and say, okay, 2020 was one thing, all the years before that, but 2021, I'm going to do things differently.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's perfectly reasonable. It can be a very powerful decision.
Okay.
I mean, you could do it any day. You could do, February 3rd. You could do Thursday. Today's Thursday. I'm never going to do that again. It doesn't matter. But certain days that are socially reinforced.
Okay. Like, and that may be why I feel like it's like a second chance New Year's when it's like back to school.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably from like 18 years of back to school being this new beginning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, make your own, but we've got one been, dumped on our lap. So let's use it. So I'd say the most important thing is, think about what outcome you want this year,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to just, like when we've got bad habits, we can tend to fixate on them. Right. And that the problem becomes the thing we focus on.
Yeah.
Like whether it's the outcome, like I don't look or feel the way I want to look or feel, or my meds, I don't want to take these meds anymore. I don't want to have this galloping disease progression. Or if it's the behavior itself, like I keep eating at night after I'm supposed to be finished, and I keep binging on cereal and soy milk or whatever. So we can look at that and have a very problem focused fixation on it.
Okay.
And the truth is, we are all smart people, right? Everybody who got on this call,
You guys.
you like pushed buttons and clicked things and plugged things in, and like I'm in awe. Like, and
Yeah, we had a really hard time over on this side of plugging in things and moving things around. So you're our heroes today.
so my assumption is that if you have a problem that you have not solved, it's not because you haven't tried.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because you're lazy. It's not because you're stupid. It's not because you're incompetent. It's because it's not a solvable problem the way you're thinking about it.
Right. So it's the last part that slid in there. First I was like, well, dang, I guess I'm just screwed. But no, like what? And that's why Howard is so good. It's like, just because for a long time you look at something only one way doesn't mean there's not another way to do it. Or sometimes go ahead. I'm sorry.
In fact, when you look at something one way and you're not fixing it, you can be darn sure that the way you're looking at it is the problem.
I love that, because I found in my life too, it's like looking at things differently is the only way to move forward. And also, I'm queen of kind of beating myself up. So sometimes I feel like I waste time. I just sit there and go, oh, I should have done this and I should have done that. And why didn't I do this? Like, perhaps I did that right before we came on. Oh, why would I think that we could do all these same things and plug in a new place differently than we do at home, but yet it'd be fine. Hey, and Lynn, we are actually in Howard's kitchen. So Howard Jacobson lives in Pittsboro, North Carolina. So it's about, 40 minutes from my house in Durham?
Depends whether I'm driving or me is driving.
So it's a little drive. But they kind of have, I'll promise I'll take you guys out here when they're farming again, because they have they call it their garden. I call it their mini farm out there. So it's amazing. Yeah, and see, lamps like reflect and reframe. And that's a lot like what you're saying too. And I know for me, my brain is a liar. So
narrative is the enemy of life.
Yeah.
Right. When it's getting in our way. So the other thing I want to say is like, even if you could solve your problem, even if you could say, okay, I'm going to stop eating this thing. Like, let's say you have a sugar problem.
Okay.
And let's say your fairy godmother came along and granted you a wish. And your wish was, I wish there was no more sugar in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's all gone. So you no longer have a sugar problem. Right?
Right.
But whatever sugar was doing for you,
you have another problem.
You got another problem. Right? You fixed one problem. But so the game here is, within your problem is a bigger opportunity.
Okay.
And when we think about it, I just want to solve the problem. You're basically trying to go from like negative back to zero. I've solved my problem. But what we can do here is go from the negative to a positive. We can become better than we were. We can use the problem to find the opportunity. So if it's sugar, why are we binging on sugar? What is it doing for us? Maybe you eat sugar because you're tired and you need to stay up and finish some work.
Mm-hmm.
So the opportunity there could be get better sleep. The opportunity there could be plan your time better so you don't have to work late into the night. The opportunity could be I don't like the work I'm doing, and so I never have energy for it. So maybe this is the year that I start thinking about fulfilling some other life path.
Okay, I can see that too.
Oh,
So
look.
things. There's a ladybug. I don't think you guys can see it with. Oh, you can sort of see something. So right there, that little thing is actually a ladybug that just flew in here. Isn't that like camera 3? Here we go.
Can you see me in there?
Yes. Can you see Howard scooching down to see the ladybug?
There's my ladybug.
Yay! That was super cute. And Jackie says no more sugar would be sad. And yeah, Lim is digging what you're putting down, Howard. And you need to hang out with him. I think the two of you guys are going to become fast friends.
Awesome. I want drops too.
We all want Lim drops.
So can
can
we operationalize it for a minute?
Absolutely.
So for people that like this, I mean, the steps are really simple. Like first of all, you got think about your problem. Think about the thing that's bugging you. Then turn it into a positive in terms of what's an outcome you'd want. So I want to stop eating sugar. All right, well, that's halfway there. That's kind of ending a negative. What would you like to do instead? Say it in the positive. I'd like to eat predominantly fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts and seeds and tubers. Right? I'd like to take my last bite at night at 6:30 in the evening and fast until morning. So put it in a positive. Oh, look.
We won't talk about this. This might be. There's a bunch of ladybugs in here, and I will make this.
I want to say that nobody watching has to eat this. So this is so don't worry. It's just us.
So finish that thought.
So get something positive, something that's a positive outcome that you can kind of get excited about. Like that would be great. And then think about what's an even bigger opportunity. Like what can I do? What is this problem offering to me that I couldn't achieve without it? Is it so for me, for example, when I met Josh, my business partner, I was about 20 pounds overweight. And my problem was I'm 20 pounds overweight. Like I'm a health guy. I want to make videos. I'm not happy the way, I'm like preaching something and I'm not fulfilling it. After I met Josh, the problem became I want to run faster because Josh runs up hills and I'm dragging my butt behind him and I feel terrible and I'm, wasting his time. So all of a sudden, I want to run. And then the 20 pounds became something, that problem became the impetus for how do I become a faster runner?
Right.
And then I'm not worried about the pounds, I'm worried about my time.
Right.
And so I'm almost like by doing it indirectly, it's solvable. Because if all I want to do is lose 20 pounds, what happens when I lose 20 pounds? Then I'm done? Or I'm just going to go back to my old habits that had me. But if I'm an athlete, I'm constantly chasing a little bit better, a little bit faster. Then the 20 pounds is no longer this oscillating thing. So that's what I would offer folks.
No, I think that's awesome. And I'm going to take it a little bit different direction. So like I know last year, one of the things I needed to do was kind of take some more self-care time. And I needed to exercise some. So, and you guys know because I took you on some of my walks in the Eno. So just kind of having that time. And so what was kind of a challenging length for me became not challenging. It was just normal because I did it all the time. We made sure that we walked today. So sometimes I think, because I'm trying to reframe it for some people out there who maybe don't want to be athletes.
Right.
I think that's a perfect example for people who do. And there's a lot of you out there that probably like that too. So I want to kind of have a softer.
Right. Well, what about like most of the time when we do bad habits, it's because we're trying to avoid a state or get out of a state, a emotional state.
Yes.
I'm depressed. I'm frustrated. I'm angry. I'm lonely. I'm bored.
And there's been
Right.
a lot of that this year because 2020 was a more isolating year than years past.
Yeah. So then the opportunity is, okay, so if I don't use that, then I can really feel the feeling. I can learn from that feeling. This feeling of boredom means my job sucks.
Right. So using those feelings to kind of like not just stop you, not just hear that I don't feel good, but to go a little bit underneath it. And what is that real voice saying that you're
Yeah.
trying to not get to? Is trying to go, no, don't listen to me.
Right,
Right.
right. There is an opportunity.
Okay.
Right. And of course you have a choice. Like you can keep doing the thing, you can keep drowning it out.
Right.
And at some point, that's a reasonable thing to do. I'm not trying to judge anybody for I use this substance or this behavior or this internet addiction or whatever to not feel. Like I'm not telling anybody to feel.
Right.
I don't know if you should feel or not. For some people, feeling in the absence of professional counseling or psychological help is too much. But like when you decide, like, what do I want? Like look for where is there somewhere I can grow?
Yeah.
Where is this problem actually like oh, look at this weight on the ground. I wish it wasn't here. It's so heavy, I have to keep picking it up. Oh, now I can do clean and lifts, right? I can do squat lifts. I can right? The weight, the problem is what the obstacle is what can make us stronger.
Right. And kind of look for what you can do. So that kind of brings me. So Sensible Crime was saying, I do too much all or nothing thinking. I was going out for a walk and just going out for a walk and stretching would be a big improvement for me. And I felt like that a lot too. It's like, I think sometimes when you're starting, if you've not really gotten in touch with yourself a lot, that you kind of have to take smaller little pieces and forays, like kind of taking a walk, stretching, meditating, things that make you a little more comfortable with some of the feelings you might have to open them up.
That's challenging for people to do small things.
It is. Now,
right? So it takes courage, actually. People think, well, I need to make a total change. That's courageous. That's not courageous at all. To make a huge change, to have the intention to make a huge change, because you're going to fail, right? And then you can let yourself off the hook. Well, I tried. What's hard, what takes courage is, I'm going to go for a 5-minute walk. And I'm going to do it again tomorrow. And I'm going to do it again the day after that. That requires emotional courage.
Well, and one of the things I was thinking about doing this year, and then I'm going to switch our places and make some cornbread while we continue our lovely conversation, because eating's got to happen too, is that, and now I just forgot what I was going to say. What was I going to say? Oh, I'm thinking of trying to do some goal setting a little bit differently than I've done in years past, which is I tend to like have a word for the year or a goal for the year or feeling for the year, which I'm still dallying with. And we've talked about that. But I'm thinking about making smaller, more concrete goals in quarterly or 3-month intervals. So that by March, these 3 things need to happen. And so then go back for February and January and putting in the actionables that needs to happen for March. And I don't know, how do you feel about that?
So it's a very useful way to think about it. And most of us do that at work, right? We're used to.
Let's see, I don't.
You don't, but
most people,
if you work for someone else, you had to do that. You had your performance plan for the year, you had your KPIs or your key objectives, and no.
Maybe.
So most people.
Somebody could probably said, "Oh, you're going to do these things," and I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm going to do some fun things. It'll be good." And so, but yes, I think to me, I think it's what normal people do. And
that's not the problem. So a lot of coaching is about, okay, so you want to lose weight, so let's talk about what you're going to do every day. Put it in your calendar. When are you going to do this? When are you going to do? That's not the problem, right? Now, it has to happen. But if you think like, okay, all I need to do is like set the goals and put it in my calendar, and something has been blocking you, it's going to continue to block you. So this is like the operationalization of it is absolutely important. Of, I'm going to choose something, I'm going to commit to it, and I'm going to give myself feedback on it. That's absolutely crucial to turning something around, to making a change when it's not the default. But if you just do that and you skip the first part, then whatever stopped you last time is going to stop you again this time.
And because everybody may not have goals or things that are like their big giant things. You know, it may not be the sugar addiction or the not moving goal. It could even just be self-care or caring about yourself more.
The sink is clean when you go to bed. Even something like that.
Yeah, no, to me that's a super awesome goal. And in fact, with the pandemic, because having Cheryl work from home and everything, the house is a little smaller. So the one thing I have to have so I don't lose my mind is the kitchen has to be clean so I can go on video. So, and I've been known to be very unhappy if I wake up and the kitchen is dirtied again before I get up. So I love that, because to me, while that's not going to fix everything that's going on with me, if my cup is this full and I just take it down to this full,
Mm-hmm.
it makes me a better human being to be around somebody else. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
And it doesn't fix everything, but it does kind of at least let me function at a normal, socially acceptable level, I guess is a way to put it.
Yeah, and there's so many ways in which we can bring that thermometer down a little bit. And the thermometer is basically stress in our lives. Like, you know, when we're stressed, when we snap more quickly, when something bothers us that might not have bothered us another day.
Yeah.
Right. So one of the ways to do that is to engage in these activities that make us stronger. Another way is to just practice de-stressing. So there's all sorts of exercises, from breathing to, you know, cold showers, to muscle tension and release, to walks, to being in nature. We know how to de-stress ourselves. The science of that is very well developed.
But if people aren't good at distressing themselves, or they really haven't been able to start or follow through with some of that, wouldn't you want them to maybe focus on some of that as part of getting to that deeper level? Or is it just automatically part of it?
I think it has to be, because we live in a world in which we don't naturally de-stress. It's like, you know, your laptop is operating on batteries. Remember in the day when we had computers, like in the 80s, there was no batteries. Right? You had a big computer, you plugged into the wall.
Right.
So now we've got computers that can unnaturally, don't have to be plugged into the wall, but we still have to plug them in.
Right, especially mine, because my battery doesn't work that great anymore, which is probably a great example.
Yeah. So human beings are like that. We no longer live in small tribes where we know everybody.
Mm-hmm.
We no longer have an intimate knowledge of our landscapes, of the seasons. We're not subjected to vistas, to oceans, to rivers, to long big sky. We're not spending a lot of time outdoors. And so we're out of our natural habitat. So it's imperative for us to practice some de-stressing tactics.
Okay.
If you want to be sane.
No, I love that idea. And I'm going to switch with you. And what Sensible Crime was saying is that she decided this year she's going to clean her bathroom once a week thoroughly, because we feel better in clean spaces. And I agree.
Yeah. Does she live near me?
I don't think so. Anybody want to come clean my house or Howard's house? We can talk about potting a little bit. So I'm going to give you a brief derailing, and then we can come back and you can talk while I'm doing this.
No, we want cornbread now.
We want cornbread too.
Right.
So we're going to have some more stuff. So if you guys have some specific questions for Howard, this is an amazing opportunity to be able to ask him. So I'm kind of, imagine this, making up a recipe as I go along pretty much. So I've got probably about 1.5 cups of gluten-free flour, making up some cornbread, oil-free of course. Got some cornmeal, and then I've got a little bit of baking powder, baking soda, and salt in here.
Should I hit preheat something?
Oh yeah, I thought you already did it unpreheat again. It can be fine.
Well, it wasn't. Yeah, it was on 22 minutes.
Okay.
So just 350.
We thought we were coming on at 4, so we appreciate all of you guys kind of hopping back on with us. Okay, so I'm just what you want to do when you're making anything like this is you want to get the dry ingredients mixed together well. That's why you mix the dry ingredients together, because you don't want to have a big old thing of baking powder, because that'll be yucky. I know you guys can see a little bit. You can see that there.
Should I take the iPhone camera and hold it and stuff?
Oh, no.
No.
No, because we're going to go back.
Just kidding.
That was a lot of hooey.
Hey, it's
that.
Helene Ann. She wants measurements.
Oh, Helene, you silly, silly thing. I think it's probably 3/4 of a cup. No, probably. I think it was like a cup of each.
Was it like to the middle lines?
Yeah, I think it was probably like a cup of each. And we may end up using some more because I'm using some pumpkin in here. And I don't... Spoon. Let me see if you guys can see this. It's going to look... This is soy milk with some apple cider vinegar. Yeah, you guys are going to be able to see this. See how it's all clumpy and thick and you're like, ew, that's bad. So...
The ladybugs seem to like it.
I wasn't going to bring the lady back.
Right. No.
She's drying out
over
in the
corner.
corner.
What ladybug?
So what I did is I put some apple cider vinegar in soy milk. Now this isn't going to work in all the different milks the same way. So soy has a high protein content, which makes it look like buttermilk. So if you use almond or if you use rice milk, you're not going to see nothing happen. But it's fine to use it in here. And then I have like a flax egg. And I probably... Let's mix this stuff up in a bigger bowl. Let's mix our wet ingredients up as if we were grown-ups. You guys can pretend along with me. And all that stuff that looks kind of like yuck, think of it like yogurt. You can also use vegan yogurt to do this too. And then this was, I think, a tablespoon or two, probably 1 tablespoon of flaxseed with about 1/4 cup of water. And the reason these measurements don't have to be exact is because I'm actually going to, we're fancy in this house. Howard is also, you know how I'm the one that's always telling you guys, hey, I keep putting that in too small a pan. Howard's the one like, wouldn't that be better in a bigger pan? And I'm like, yeah. So this is about a cup of pumpkin. And I'm going to go ahead and put it all in here. And then what I may end up doing is adding some more dry ingredients. And I think with the baking soda, I used 1.5 teaspoons and about half a teaspoon of baking powder and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And again, you could use a salt-free blend. This is going to make it pretty.
It's orange.
Can you guys see that? You can sort of see it a little bit. And it's thick from that yummy buttermilk. So I'm going to pour this into the dry ingredients. And since I'm making this recipe up, I may have too much wet or I could have too much dry. And the world is going to be okay. So I will tell you right now, I am a haphazard baker and I am proud of it. It seems to work almost all the time. And what you can do is kind of just get some recipes to be close enough. Yeah, I think this is going to be real close.
So are there like rules of thumb for baking soda and baking powder? Because I've seen recipes where it's like, a teaspoon to a cup, and somewhere it's just like, it just tastes like chalky and bitter.
Well, and there's two things. One thing, because we do have vegan baking stuff going on here, we can taste it as we go along. So long before I put this in the pan, I'm going to know if I've screwed up or not. And I'm also going to put a little bit of sugar in here because Mia has been having some issues with sugar. And I think this is like 1/4 cup. Yeah. I'm going to put probably...
Marcia wants to know what we're making.
We are making oil-free, whole food, plant-based cornbread made with pumpkin.
And Sensible Crimes is whenever they have a can of Diet Coke, they will start doing something simple, touching my toes 5 times or something.
Okay, so you kind of reward yourself. You do some kind of good behavior to get something that you want. That doesn't always work for me because either A, it'll be a day where I could do 100 toe touches, or I'll just do 100 toe touches, and then tomorrow I'm like, I'm done for the week.
Mm-hmm. Well, one thing you can do, let's say you have a habit that you're not crazy about, and you're trying to stop your habit. It's really hard to inhibit a conditioned pattern.
say that more in English.
Okay. Inhibit means to not do something. So if you have a pattern,
Taste. Always taste.
there's a cue that reminds you to do it. So like at 3:00, you're like, I need to go get a cookie, right? So it becomes a habit, and it's almost like you're a musician, so shaving a haircut, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think, what is it?
Da 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 da. If you just do da 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 da, someone's going to go, at least certainly in their head. But if you go anywhere and you go da 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 da, someone's going to have to go da da. I remember a story when I was studying music of two musicians who shared a house, and one of them was annoyed that the other one would sleep in, so they'd go down to the piano and play da 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 da, and the other one would have to go downstairs and get the BC before they could go back to bed. So that's an example of it's hard to inhibit a behavior. It's hard to say, okay, so I'm not going to do that anymore. So, for example, I used to teach juggling. And
you're a very multi-talented individual, my friend Howard.
So if we talk about juggling, so when people think of juggling, they think about 3 items, right? This is juggling. If I just do this, this doesn't feel like juggling, right? No one's going to give me money on the street for this. And certainly no one's going to give me money for this single thing. Like no one's going, ooh, like I don't care. It could be on fire, it could be a chainsaw. Still, one thing, no one's impressed. But the problem is when people try to go to 3, they think they're going to do it just like 2. And then they do this. And they don't. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So in order to
There's
do 3,
another action involved.
and then when they start doing 3, they get the idea, like whoa, 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 all over the place. And so now if I throw one over there and I reach out and catch it, I've just given my brain positive feedback.
Okay.
Like good throw, good throw, but not. So the game we play is I'll throw a ball, not an apple, and you'll hold your hand out.
Okay.
And
I'm not supposed to do that now, though.
No,
right?
this is by way of example. I would throw it, and you'll catch it. If I threw this to you right now, you'd probably drop something and just you'd catch it, right? You'd make you'd have a behavior.
I would have a behavior, but Cheryl, I can tell you would catch the ball. My dog, so if you throw the ball, he just goes bonk, and that's what I would do. He could throw this apple at me, and I would not drop this cornbread.
Are you putting fresh corn in there?
Fresh corn.
It may be a little late to put corn in.
Oh, come on, live a little.
If I hadn't added extra liquid, I'm going to say no this time.
Okay.
I'm really sorry, Mia. If it was still in here and I could add some more other stuff, but I only brought one piece of parchment. I feel like I'm breaking Mia's heart. But like Mia has a great point. So let's talk about Mia's point instead of showing it. Because I can do
we'll come back to the juggling
and we
later.
will come back to the juggling. So maybe this is similar in a way. Is that I just said I have no rules. I'll do anything. I'll be crazy. But you got to have some parameters. So one of the reasons you guys saw I put a little extra soy milk in here because when I tasted it, and actually I didn't let Howard have a little taste. It's not going to taste like good yummy cornbread. But it's got a little bit of sweet to it. A little bit of pumpkin. Here, I'll give Mia some too. So when I tasted it, and you guys are going to taste this too, so I've been using a lot of fine ground cornmeal in what we've been doing lately, right? This is coarse. Or it says medium grind. In my mouth, it's coarse, which is amazing for cornbread. But because it is coarser, you're going to want to add more liquid so that it can soak it up. So that's why I wanted to make this mixture just a little more jiggly than I had originally thought about doing.
Right.
So, and
by the way, there's a couple of people
Mia's
here.
back here jiggling.
There's a couple of commenters who are accusing you of being kind rather than judgmental.
Who's judgment?
No, they're accusing you of being kind.
To who?
To people. They say you're being kind and not judgmental.
I don't know what that was saying. Thank you.
That's in general.
I know what's funny, and I tell you guys this all the time too, is that I get stressed out and I get a little bit crazy and have my things too.
It's preheating.
Yeah, and if you want to put it, this one's not gonna take as long as that one, unless you want to even them out. Should you want to even them out?
We'll just move this one. Remove this one sooner.
Okay.
About how many minutes would you say?
Let's check it at 20. So the reason I'm using 2 loaf pans is usually I use kind of like a brownie pan, and this is what I had. Mia did offer me to use the cast iron skillet, but I just didn't know how that was going to work with the parchment paper. And if you guys have used that, or do you find that when you season it that you don't have to add any extra oil when you're cooking it? I'm not super cast irony, but I bet Maryland or Joanne has done it. And so Joanne does say, I will cook anything without a recipe when it comes to baking. It always reminds me of a chemistry class. And see, this is when I go, chemistry, pa! And Howard, you were asking this a little bit before, is that if I'm going to go make up something, so a lot of times I think it's, if I'm using vegan, oil-free, and gluten-free, sometimes I will add additional baking powder. So this time I only did 1.5 teaspoons. A lot of times I will go ahead and up that up to like 2, even to a tablespoon, depending on what it is. If it's brownies, don't fight the weight. There's no fighting the weight. Just let it be fudgy goodness. And then I add a little bit of baking soda. So it used to be when I was doing a lot of whole wheat stuff, it would be like 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt would be kind of my default. Because when you're doing something that's already vegan and you're not using eggs and something that usually has eggs and lifts it up, you've got some stuff we're working with there. Then when you go oil-free on that, that's going to change the whole makeup. And then when you're going gluten-free on top of that, I think that's one of the reasons that I'm just a little more like, if I'm making banana bread, I mash the bananas. That is how many bananas I have. I make it look kind of like a good wet mixture and add flour and things like that until it's about right. But I still would probably use like 1.5 teaspoons to 2 teaspoons of baking soda and 1/2 teaspoon, of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. So that's kind of where I start. And almost always, and you guys have seen me do a lot of experimental recipes this month. So that's how things start. By the time they get in the books, they've been tested by other people too, and we know for sure that amount works. But I want to empower you guys to really feel free to make things different. Like if your brownies are a little cakey, who cares? They're yummy, delicious, cakey brownies, right? Some people pride themselves on cakey brownies. And it's real easy to make fudgy brownies. I put the pumpkin in there because I knew it would kind of make it moist. It would make up for any oil that we might normally use. And a lot of times when you're doing things like if you wanted to make cookies and you take the oil out, they're going to become little cakes, which are beautiful. So just remember that. You've got a lot of options. So let's see. Oh, and Marilyn does use parchment paper and a cast iron loaf pan when she makes gluten-free sourdough bread. See, Marilyn is a goddess in the kitchen, and I appreciate that. So, and why don't you address sensible crime? Evidently, my glasses work better than Howard's eyes. That makes me feel kind of good. I'm always the one who... Do you want me to read it?
I don't see a question.
Oh, maybe I was wrong. I thought it was something else. Yeah. I thought it said plant-based. It does say plant-based eating, but it's not a question.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying I'm not judging, and I'm not. I don't care if you guys are here because you want to make one meatless Monday meal. I'm still going to help you just as much as if you are hardcore, whole food, plant-based, or whatever. We're here to cook, enjoy each other's company, uplift all of us as a community, and hopefully to kind of start being kind. And I tell everyone, that's my whole thing, is be kind to each other, be kind to someone else, and be kind to yourself. Because as you know, I'm not always the kindest to my own self. Mm-hmm. So that is something I would like to work on, is to give myself, dare say the leeway I give other people to myself, because I'm like, I don't know that I can do that big a change. Unless you live with me. Cheryl will say I'm not that forgiving. And she gets to see these things all the time.
Well, the closer it gets to us, right, the more it becomes a matter of our own identity.
Yeah. Well, and I do try and tell everybody all the time that I'm also talking to me when I'm talking to you about these things. And the world can be kind of a harsh place, I think, on the outside and on the inside of us, if we're like that. So.
Yeah, I think we're both talking to ourselves, right? Like I think everybody in the helping professions is trying to, work on their own stuff, right? Anyone, I would say anyone you come across who is has totally fixed themselves, I would run away like that. I don't trust anyone who thinks they have a healed ego.
Don't you throw that apple at me, Miss Mia. You can. So this is what I deal with. This is why we're potted with them, honestly, because with me, I'll just be like, sitting in front of the fire watching TV. They're like, let's dance, let's juggle. I'm going to bring out my guitar. Good people to pod with. But I'm so glad you didn't hit me in the head with that, because I think I would have had to smack you.
I'm a little hungry here.
I'm like, then no one will ever watch me again. But Lim says, so just for you guys, so in Vlogmas, people are making a lot of shirts. So if somebody lays down a quote, it's hashtag shirtable. And so Lim says, if your brownies are little cakes, who cares? He's saying that's a shirtable. I kind of like that. Thank you, Lim. And yeah, Marilyn, Joanne also agrees that Marilyn is a goddess when it comes to we celebrate you in this year of 2021. Maybe it's the year of Marilyn. Maybe we all start dehydrating, and maybe I use me as cast iron pan. Marilyn encourages me to branch out a lot, which is really kind of awesome. That's why I say again.
We could use cast iron if we put in parchment.
Yeah, that's why I asked my gal Marilyn, because she knows all the things. So
let's make some collards.
Okay, yes, we need to make some collards. I think some people are hungry and they're tired of us going on and on about this. So I am going to go to the other or would you like to make the greens and have me just talk you through them?
Me?
What would you like to do?
No.
Or do you just want to talk while I'm making greens?
No, whatever you want. I could.
You want to narrate?
I could engage in manual labor. I'm not proud.
Okay. Hi, this is the other camera. We thought we were going to have 5 cameras. There's Howie. So Howard, I'm over here too. So I've got some water here, and so we're just going to heat up a little bit of that water, and we've got some extra water for as we go along, and I'll show them over here while that's heating up. So we've got these beautiful collards. Let me break them up a little bit more. Marilyn says we're all so sweet. She's in her upper 70s. I've had many years to gain experience. I wish you lived closer, or the next time that we end up in Louisiana, we're going to have to totally come hang out in your kitchen. And
do you want another bowl?
No. See, this is. I told you this is what Howard always said. Don't you need a bigger bowl?
Not a bigger bowl.
I don't need a bigger bowl.
Second
I'm
bowl.
good. I'm just playing with the collards.
This bowl, people could see the collards after you cut them into little pieces.
Okay. Well, and Mia's over here going, did I not do the collards well enough? And I'm just like, you guys know, right? Cheryl. It's much better for my life if they're a little smaller, because Cheryl will.
I eat them anyhow now.
Will you?
Yeah, just do it.
Okay. You heard it. If she doesn't eat it, it's her own fault. This is also, she's the reason I mince onions too. Okay.
I'm all into collards now.
She does love her greens and collards, and I know Joanne is so, yay, Apple's here. Woo! It is our New Year's Day party. And so Howard back there No, you're not in that camera yet. Here, now you can do it. Howard Jacobson of Sick to Fit is going to make collards the Kathy way. So we just heated up some water. I would take a couple of handfuls, maybe one handful of yours.
And just
Drop it on in there. Just be a rebel. And you said this one only kind of has high?
Yep.
Let's go ahead and get another handful. I think we can do, or half a handful. Howard's hands are about 4 times bigger than mine.
No, his hands are normal size.
No. Here, like, give me your right hand or your left hand. Here, okay.
I can see that. But
That's why he's getting special instructions. It's okay. I'm still coming over here and just micromanaging. I don't know what my deal is. So I know that you guys, let me see if there we go. And before I put the link, you can get this on Amazon. This is the pure liquid smoke that doesn't have anything else in it. So I'm putting all that I have.
can people still hear? Because we're...
Oh, there's a microphone right next to me now. Ah, okay. So, isn't it exciting, you guys? This whole new exciting thing. I'm not stressed at all. Can you tell that I'm lying? Can you tell? And I don't. Oh, do you have a?
You have a fan.
Let's see.
But you gotta...
Don't do that.
That's okay. It was the finger I burned earlier.
Okay, so that'll help a little, I think. How are we doing with that? Yeah, it's not getting the camera. All right. So this was probably 2 normal bunches of collards. So this was pretty big. Would you
More?
like? Yeah.
So
So we're cooking them down, and then we'll put in some new, because they're going to cook down a lot. I'd stop there for right now. Let's not be too hasty. So we've probably got a half a teaspoon of liquid smoke, maybe a little bit more. But I also brought my friend's smoked paprika. I'm trying to read it. It's like smoked pimenton paprika, but I'm going to, because we want these guys smoky. So I'm putting another half teaspoon of that. As the water starts cooking, usually around this time you'd have it on medium heat, and we've got it a little bit on high heat, so I'm going to splash a little water in there.
one thing I could do is have it only be in the middle element, the smaller one.
Yeah, that's fine. We can work with whatever we have to work with. So Mia offered me some garlic to smush, but I did not have my super cool garlic smusher. Hello, garlic powder. Thank you for making my life so easy. Probably going to put between a half a teaspoon and a teaspoon of it. And then I'm going to put probably a quarter to a half teaspoon of onion powder. And all that's going to give it some really good flavor with 0 effort. And you know who cleaned the greens? Mia, who's standing over here. I know you guys can't see anyone but the greens. They smell good. They need a little more water. And if you're cooking it on a lower heat, you may not need water as much. Secret ninja trick, you could use broth or put a bouillon cube in your water to do this and give it some extra flavor. Or you could saute some mushrooms to get that dark umami flavor going. You could put a little bit of soy sauce in here or miso. Let's get some.
Diane says, "Oh, I made this greens recipe from your Easy Vegan Cookbook for the first time a few days ago. It's a new fave. I love it. It's addictive."
Oh, awesome. So new to me. Oh, and this is the mushroom umami powder. So that has some salt in there, and it has some mustard seed and some thyme. So remember, if we're not sure, smell it over it. That smell was a yes smell, so we'll put some of that in. We may need some more. And actually, I'm going to let Howard's going to, or Mia's going to poke these for a minute. I just need to get one ingredient. You guys cannot see what's happening, and which makes me want to show you so badly what's happening. You can sort of see. There's like this whole thing, like she's holding the microphone, Mia's stirring from over there. It's an extravaganza. So, okay. I'm coming over to get some apple cider vinegar.
This would be like when they, 20 years, like bloopers. Like you can see the microphone cord at minute 43:11.
Well, and actually, you can see more of my backside than I thought. I'm like, woo! We can aim this a little bit more this way. There we go. Okay. So we're still just kind of going until we get most of these done. And again, as slow or as busy as you want. This was a whole heap of mess of greens. So it really was like, it was a heap of mess. It was like, that was what it was like. Did you guys remember when I did the black-eyed peas yesterday? I unbagged all that produce. And these were amazing looking. And so you can see even now, see how some of them are darker? Yeah. Hit it. I'll take over for Mia so she can get a break. So I'm going to dig some of those darker ones from the bottom. See, now you guys are probably glad you're not in my kitchen. Because I put you to work.
This is a Tabata workout. Stir for 40 seconds, rest for 20. Get back. Good, keep the form.
And just remember, you guys have always said you wanted to like spend a holiday with me and Cheryl, and now this is your fault, people. I take no responsibility. No, but
that's what's going to go on my shirtable. I take no responsibility.
There will be responsibility if Lim is in the house. Lim is all about the good responsibility. And sometimes, like, I get mad when people don't take responsibility, but sometimes I wonder if it's worse when you take too much responsibility too. I'm wondering if there are two sides of one same evil coin. Mm. So that is just the meanderings of a crazed vegan cookbook author.
And Joanna says she has all kinds of icons on her screen edges.
Yeah.
They're seeing what
they are.
Okay.
And there's nothing we can do about it right now.
From the phone.
And I'm sorry, you guys. This was as close as we could get. We had a whole thing that we were setting up over here. And you know what? I was this close to bringing my cooktop. But I didn't, because I was like, we're already bringing so many things.
Some people are not seeing those.
Interesting.
I'm seeing them.
Yeah. I see them on.
And they're fine. You can still see the picture.
You might be able to use. Let me try one.
Zoom it up a little bit. Oh yeah.
Woo. Okay. That should. Oh, Joanne, it is so not just you, and you know it. Okay, so I'm gonna.
Should I refill the water?
I think we're gonna be good because I'm gonna put some vinegar in here. So greens are typically a little bit bitter, and I probably will cook these a little bit after. Well, actually, yeah, give me some more water. Thank you very much. And they smell pretty good and smoky, so we want them to be smoky and have vinegar. Now, if you don't have apple cider vinegar, you could use white vinegar. You could use some balsamic vinegar. That is going to make it a little sweeter. And if you're good with that, I'm good with that. So I just want you to eat greens. I'm kind of thinking, Howard, some of my like little early daily goals. So I think I want to walk, not even have a long goal, just walk for mental health, kind of. And I'm thinking I want to try and eat something green every day, like a pile of like broccoli or cabbage or collard greens.
I would like to add in a hike once a week.
And Cheryl wants to add in a hike once a week. Yeah, so define hike.
Just where we leave the neighborhood and go to like a state park or someplace so that we're like bathing in nature a little bit while we're doing our walk.
Forest bathing is awesome. That's what I was kind of doing this year.
Oh yeah.
So I'm probably going to start off with maybe 1 to 2 teaspoons ish. Now this mushroom powder we used had some salt in it. You could even do something like put some nutritional yeast. You could use our new favorite plain salt substitute, which you can mix like a tablespoon of onion powder, a tablespoon of garlic powder, and about a teaspoon of ground celery seed.
So I just stuck a skewer in the cornbread, and you see the bottom came out sort of
Icky?
Well, it's sticky.
It's sticky. Let's say 10 more minutes. I didn't think 20 was going to do it, but since I'm making this up, I want to check early and let it cook more. So let's cook it another 10 minutes.
Yeah, I hate it when my stick is sticky. It was a perfectly innocent comment, by the way.
So, see how these are all starting to look really good and wilty yummy? You can cook stems. We have some stems in here. You want to make sure the stems are tender. And the southern way to eat greens, they are brown. So you can either do a light saute. We're kind of going for southern here. And it's okay either way. So I tasted that little green that was trying to escape over there. And Cheryl, are you looking at the comments to see if any...
people were just saying, yeah, forest bathing is an interesting term.
It's a Japanese term, I believe. I'm going to put a little more garlic. And then I'm going to put a little more of the umami in here.
You want a bouillon cube?
Oh, does it have salt in it?
It's low sodium,
Oh,
so the salt's on the bottom.
the only reason I'm going to say no is this has a lot of salt in it, and so that makes me nervous. But if you wanted to, we could put some nutritional yeast in, which is the super quick fix for not having bouillon. And you guys, if you want to make my bouillon cubes, I think all of you already know this, but you can get the recipes on plantbasedinstantpot.com.
We also have your golden gravy, but that says like oatmeal in it, right? So that's not right.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Yeah, about 1 to 2 tablespoons. And we may need just a wee bit more water.
It smells absolutely heavenly. It's just amazing to have a house smell like somebody else's food.
So did you hear that from Mia? I'm not sure if you did or not, but Mia said it smells absolutely heavenly. Now you know why I always recognize her when I hear, "Hello, darling."
I didn't even take out a darling.
Diana Beresford Kroger is a very knowledgeable advocate for all things forest, according to Apple.
Oh, that's awesome, Apple. That's awesome. And see how these are looking real uniform? And you can still see with the spices that we're doing, we're still getting kind of a yummy sauce. So, and again, I'm adding just a little more because I feel like it's almost consistent, but a couple of these are not quite as cooked as others, and we have larger stems. And we're going for a good old traditional New Year's Day feast. Veganized. Yeah, have one. See what you think. Tell me what it needs. Does it need more vinegar?
Oh, I'm sorry we didn't catch that on film.
Yeah, Mia was just flipping that green into her face and almost burned her nose.
Joanna says, I make fast northern greens, and her sister does slow southern greens.
Right, and this is kind of in between, right? Who would have thought I would try to break all the rules in one dish? Wait, everybody but me? Okay, there we go. What did you
I think
think?
I can handle it going through.
Okay, you think it's still not too salty?
No.
You think it needs more vinegar though?
No, it's very vinegary.
Okay. They're supposed to be really vinegary.
Real, okay. We'll have to
Um,
taste it. You tell me what you think.
That's big. Ow. Okay, that's too close to the nutritional yeast. Here we go. There's the perfect one for me to try. Here, we'll switch cameras for a minute, and Howard can stir. I feel like a star. Someone's running around with a microphone.
Well, Mia's got to stir. I'll eat the greens off the floor.
They're definitely not too vinegary for me. They could use more salt, so if you want to put a bouillon cube in, I say it's okay. I say let's get crazy.
I'll do anything to get away from your recipe to make you like new stuff.
Mia is like the opposite of a muse. She's like the devil sitting on your shoulder going,
I call her Coyote.
throw some chocolate in the kale is what she's gonna say next. And I think collard greens and black-eyed peas, Marcia was asking maybe what we're making. I'm trying to see if
I didn't see her comment.
here, I'm going to go back. So what we've made is that we've got some cornbread that's cooking in the Breville. It's still cooking. These tall people. I feel like a little munchkin in this house sometimes. So we made an oil-free pumpkin cornbread that we just kind of woohoo and just put some stuff together. We're going to see how it works out. So in other words, in grown-up words, we developed a recipe, but we just played mostly. And over here, we're seeing Mia stir the collards that we've been cooking.
Can this thing do split screen?
It can.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Let me see. Is it this? No.
It's the setting on the end. On
Well, if
the
you-
other end.
Oh wait, is it this?
Oh,
There we go. So, but-
that's cool.
yes,
You
we
can
can.
see me twice.
And so, and I'm sorry I'm not seeing Marcia's comment, but so I think what's being asked is what are we making? So first, we're making a hot mess of New Year's Day. So that's first and foremost. We're here with our friends Howard Jacobson and Mia, who we've potted with all year long. So that's why anybody who's new, that's why we're all together without masks on, because they're the only people we are without masks with, and we're all very well aware of what's going on. So in case you weren't sure what potting is, Mia, if you put chocolate in there, I will beat you. Cherries. Well, actually, let me tell you this. Not today. Not today, Satan. Not today. But I was even going to say what would be really good in there is if you had some extra apples and pears, you can mince those up and saute them with some onions and garlic and then add the greens in.
Cranberries would be good.
So Mia calls me up a lot and says, come on over, let's cook. Let me she's wanting to put cranberries, she's wanting to put everything in my greens, people. It's making me, you will not. Teacher look. Okay. But so a lot of times what we do is like, I will actually bring my CSA. I don't even know what happened there. But I think those greens are you're still dissolving the bouillon?
No, it's on fine.
Okay.
They're
But I think they're good. You guys taste them and see if they are seasoned properly. Mia's from South Africa, which is different than the southern United States. So Mia probably eats her greens traditionally different than I do. But the vinegar, especially if you've got people who don't like the bitterness of greens, there's two different keys. One, get them after the first frost from your farmer. Because after they frost, the bitterness goes away. There's like some sort of fancy scientific thing that happens. So that's one way. The other way is add a little vinegar, and the vinegar tricks your mouth, and you don't feel that bitterness the same way.
Or you could add chocolate.
Are you? Don't let Mia in your house. No, I'm just kidding. No, I love Mia. These are my family. Yeah, and Jessica says that fruit and green sounds good. She is Team Mia. And Mia's like, huh? What?
Ooh, keep that out. I'll have that.
Yeah.
She brought out some applesauce now. Like, I am not kidding you. So, like, I will bring my CSA. This happened a lot over the summer. I'd be like, hey, I'm coming over. And then we just, she would let me just go and do whatever I want until she started doing this stuff. And then there's always something dipping in there, and it's always exciting. I feel a little out of control, but it's good for me. I think if you did some cooked kale with strawberries and balsamic vinegar in the summer, that would be amazing, or spring. And Jessica made my black eyed peas and put in California balsamic sweet heat vinegar. Ooh, that sounds good. You have sweet heat? I don't have sweet heat. She's in the pantry. That's why I'm looking that way. Which one is it? We are not putting chocolate covered cherry balsamic vinegar.
we have an update from the oven.
Okay.
This one, which we thought was going to be done sooner, is done.
Yeah. And here's another thing. So, like, if you have very sensitive fingers, don't just touch stuff like I do.
But
Cheryl can't do it. Needs another 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, let's give it 5.
And this feels pretty springy. May I have a cutting board? Oh, wait. No, there's a cutting board behind Cheryl. So, one good thing about...
Well, let's put it on the wooden
one. Okay. Yes, sir. It's a family sort of dinner. Okay. You need to be back here. So I'm just going to grab the parchment. And this alone lets me know it's probably done enough. And I wanted it to be kind of thin because I didn't want it to bake so terribly long. So give me the white one. And this is another thing. You could do this if it was in a pan.
Ta-da.
Magic trick. So it's got some cracks in it. It is not like the ultimate perfect cornbread of all of your life. Huh? This one? Yeah, let's use a serrated knife. No. Okay.
Let's not cut the wires.
Let's not cut the wires. So I'm going to cut off a piece. Okay, here's the thing. Do what I say and not what I'm doing this time. I don't do that to you often, but it's really, you should let it cool down a little bit. But what's the fun in that? You guys will never see it. Okay. You can see it a little bit here. Let's see if I can get it closer here. Can you guys kind of see that?
That's a good...
It's still got a nice crumb to it. It's kind of hot. Can you hold it? Okay. Can you hold that, or is it too hot? You can drop it in my hand if you need. Okay. And Cheryl.
Oh, you know, don't even give me one.
Here, I'm going to give her a little bit corner.
I'm sensitive.
And I think you can hold that now.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
I'm glad I added the extra liquid because the cornmeal, and there's nothing wrong with a nice coarse ground cornbread, ever, anytime. But you don't want it to be crunchy like a nuts in there. I take it that means it's a winner.
It's a winner.
Okay.
And we hungry.
And we're hungry. We thought we were doing this at 4 and we would be eating it by 5, and it's 6. I wish you guys could have. So,
you know what would be good in there? Like craisins.
Yeah, you could do that. You could make this into a sweeter bread. So I didn't make this as sweet as some of the southern cornbread, but I did put some date sugar. I brought the date sugar in to kind of, that takes a little bit of the edge off of the corn. And you could totally take this and turn it into more of a sweeter bread. So we could have this cornbread and we could put fresh fruit or craisins or apples, anything like that in there. And Joanne likes cranberries and kale, so Joanne, you're team Mia, and Mia's glad that someone's on her team. Here we go. Let me change back to this one. You can see the greens are in there, and you can just know when we do something one way, and so like supposedly this isn't perfect, right? It tastes delicious, and so don't stop yourself from trying something or experimenting with your food. You don't have to go crazy. You don't have to go Mia side. Don't you put that grapefruit near me, because I hate grapefruit. I'm like, no grapefruit, no grapefruit. I'm so sorry, guys. But you can stretch yourself a little bit. So like if this is the only cornmeal you have, you don't want to necessarily go too far, but you could still go ahead. What if I added pumpkin instead of oil in this recipe? What if I put citrus juice in there? You're making me nervous with the grape. Okay, good. And as Joanne says, it's dinner. It's perfect. And I think that's good enough. We're all going to really enjoy it. I wish you guys could taste it too. I really do. That's the only thing that makes me sad doing these lives. It's like, and the greens are really yummy. And again, if you aren't near a Trader Joe's and you don't happen to have the magic umami mushroom stuff from there, you could put some ground mushroom powder in there, and maybe just like a little extra nutritional yeast, and that just gives it a little darker flavor. It's lovely. And Joanne says, slap his paw. I think that must have been you. Did you come for another one?
Do you see that, Brandon?
You guys can cut more. We've got two. That's why we have two. Ooh, Apple likes blueberry and lemon zest in their cornbread. I love like muffins that are like fruit and corn. And the first time I ever had that, I was in New York. And they split their muffins and grilled them. And so now, even though, like, of course, they would slather it with whatever buttery thing they had. But I do that with my oil-free muffins, but I don't put any butter on it. I just put it in a flat nonstick pan and let it get super crispy. Oh, my God, it's so good. And Joanne used to make cranberries, kale, and spicy Italian sausage. That could be really interesting, too. And Nadine says it's like watching a National Geographic special. I've never eaten cornbread or collards. I only once ate black-eyed peas, not common here. Nadine, remind me where you're from again, because I'm not sure that I remember at the moment. Yeah, and Joanne said, yes, he did. Don't cross Joanne.
Yeah.
No, actually, it was yesterday. Joanne was going, yes, Mom, to me, because I was like, everybody, please, please, please eat black-eyed peas. So hopefully you guys ate black-eyed peas or at least collards or some sort of greens. It's all I ask. Although I have made you sit through all of this. So I guess I do. I will see about writing this recipe up and see if I can't get it perfected a little bit more and get it on the blog maybe next week. Because I'm feeling some cornbread coming on. Saskatchewan. Damn it. Saskatchewan.
You won.
Saskatchewan.
Mia has a friend there. So
Is there an Abbott and Costello?
If she knows Monte Gagny, that's my friend.
Who?
Monte Gagny is my friend in
Monte Gagny?
Monte Gagny.
Monte Gagny?
You're from Saskatchewan.
It's from Saskatchewan. Do you know this person? Because if you do, then you have a tie to Mia besides me. So, but any kind of greens. I mean, I even said cabbage. I know all y'all eat cabbage. So, and there's the second bread. And we'll let that one cool a little bit more. Actually, I'll probably leave it in there because we'll eat this one and then that one will be ready to go. We just have to heat up the black-eyed peas from yesterday, and those are amazing. So, okay, guys, you have been such troopers, and I hope that you've really, really enjoyed your New Year's Day, your 2021. If you would like some more wisdom from Howard, you should join Sick to Fit. It's a private Facebook group. So it really is just Sick, T-O, Fit. And I'm sure they'll be talking a lot. Like I post my lives in there, so I kind of field some food questions every once in a while in there. So you will not be alone. But if you wanted to have some more fitness goals or something like that, that would be a great place to get some information. And also Howard has a podcast called Plant Yourself. And that's how we met.
That's right.
I know. I feel like we should have an anniversary or something. So Howard keeps having me on the podcast every time I have a book. So that means I have to write another book. Or you won't have
because
me
you come over with food.
I do come over with food.
But I do publish them. It's not just for the food.
Well, this past time we actually did one in your kitchen. So this is the second time we've been in Howard's kitchen. And we said we would do one in the summer, and then we never did. So, but this year we will. We will.
This is our first live.
Yeah, it's our first family live, Mia. Mia's about to crack up. She's about to spit out her grapefruit on me. And then there'll be a war.
Yeah, just smell that. Isn't that delicious?
Oh, and Marilyn had black-eyed peas and cabbage.
Here, we'll put a piece under the.
Okay, you can, and there's the grapefruit, and I do like grapefruit in some things as a flavoring element, but like just to eat a bite of it, it's something I find very unpleasant. It's too bitter.
Am I upsetting you?
No, you really aren't. I just didn't want you to put it in the greens.
No.
You're totally not really upsetting me. I'm playing with you. And Nadine says it's the size of 4 Texases. Wow, that's a big place.
Grapefruit?
No, Saskatchewan.
Oh.
My God.
That's big.
It's on cold
Bon
place.
appetit to you, Apple. And thank you for all the thumbs up, Sensible Crime. You're always so sweet about trying to promote these things. I really appreciate you. Happy New Year to you, Colleen. And Joanne, we will enjoy our company and dinner. We will miss all of you guys. I wish you guys could come to the table with us and have some of the yummies. But best I can do is show you how to make the yummies. And Marilyn had black-eyed peas and cabbage. Miss Iris is here and says, Happy New Year, folks.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And Joanne says, I want to see Mia's garden in the summer. 5 exclamation points.
Come on over.
She's in Florida. Okay, so I think we're going to warm up some black-eyed peas. Mia, why don't you stick your little head over here, please?
It's full of grapefruit.
It's okay. Nobody cares. You don't have anything on your face. And then we can say goodbye. I feel like we just did a little family Christmas show. I feel like you got like singing, dancing, juggling, like, you know, little drops of inspiration for your new year.
You know what I want to do?
What do you want to do?
Live from New York.
No. You did not expect me to be the sensible one in this group, did you? But yet, here we are. And Miss Iris is having lentils and quinoa and salad. I count that salad greens as greens. So I think that works really well. And there's some champagne clicking. Oh, and that's so good. Sensible Crime. That's so sweet. She feels like she knows all of us personally. And you do. You guys do. I mean, you don't always hear me when I say I'm a little neurotic. But I tell you, that's all I have to say. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Happy New
Think
Year.
about what you want to have coming forth. Kind of relax and enjoy yourself. We still got some stuff going on, but you can still take some steps to get towards your goals. Even if it seems like they might be impossible. They're not. You just might need some help, like from Mr. Howard. Oh, and Joanne says, group pick. So let's, okay, guys, Happy New Year, and I will talk to you very, very soon. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye, you guys.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Kathy and Cheryl.
Lots of love
Thank
to
you.
Canadians.